Good morning, gentlemen. Wonderful weather. It's been a wonderful day. I'm really going to enjoy talking to you today. I'm going to talk on a diverse number of topics, mostly concerning India and America. Now, the Indians were expecting a lot of things will happen, once Donald Trump becomes the president on the 20th of January after the swearing in. But nothing much has happened, and Donald Trump himself has decided that he's going to go slow. He was all fire and brimstone, once he was campaigning, but he's suddenly become muted. I'll just give you one example. He was shouting that he's going to put 100% tariffs on China. That's easier said than done, because the net result of this is now that despite the swearing in, he's the President of the United States, he hasn't put any tariffs on China. And let me tell you, if he puts 100% tariffs on China, it's going to have a tremendous backlash in America. Prices are going to go up, and people are going to ask, Mr. Trump, we brought you in as president. What the hell is happening around? What the hell is happening? So, he has not done that. But then also see the way he has gone about it. And the way he's gone about it is that he's the man who gave the first invitation to President Xi. He was the first man, and he spoke to him on telephone and told him to come, but Xi didn't come. And what did Xi do? He, however, honored Trump in the sense he sent one of the senior most officials of the Communist Party of China and the People's Republic back there for the swearing-in ceremony of Donald Trump. And in contrast to that, he didn't invite Mr. Modi at all. Modi was nowhere in the picture. So there are a lot of people who are talking that now that Donald Trump is president, there's going to be a bonhomie between him and Modi, and वो आपस में एक दूसरे की चप्पी डालेंगे and all that sort of thing, But I think most of these channels are propaganda channels just playing up Modi. I'll say about Mr. Modi that he's a wonderful man, the best prime minister India has ever had, but then he's not one of the greats of the century, or the greats of the world. He's not a man who's going to shake the world. He's a good man, that's about all. And the best of a bad lot. Because he did a great blunder, and that is why he was not called for the opening ceremony, that is the oath-taking ceremony. You remember Donald Trump had been shot. And if Modi claimed to be his friend, that was the time he had gone to America and met Donald Trump. He was his friend. And in 2020, I think in 2019, he'd held that wonderful program in America, where the program was titled Howdy Modi. And Modi came with a statement, Agli baar, फिर से Trump की सरकार. Wonderful. But then, what did Mr. Modi achieve? He did nothing this time. Secondly, just mark my words, there's a video available on net which clearly shows Donald Trump saying that I think Modi is a great man, that's what Donald Trump says, and I'm looking forward to meet him when he comes here. Now here's an open invitation to Modi, and he should have gone. He went to America, to New York, but he was sitting on the fence, and he just went and Biden and another party and came back. I don't know who was his advisor. Probably at the back of his mind was the fact that last time he had supported Donald Trump and Donald Trump lost, and there was a lot of flack. It happens, a leader faces flack. But you got to be brave enough, and brave enough to face up to it. It doesn't mean you turn turtle like a, jackal or something and bloody run away. I think that is one of the things, and probably Donald Trump felt greatly insulted. And once he felt insulted, he decided that he was not going to do anything with Modi. In fact, I don't think even he sent an invitation to Mr. Jaishankar. An invitation was sent only to the Indian embassy, and the embassy team decided, well, that Jaishankar will represent India. And Modi, of course, would have liked to go, but it would have looked very, very odd, if Modi was going on the invitation to an embassy when he had given personal invitations to so many people, like Mr. Bolsonaro, the ex-president of the state of Brazil, he'd called him over. The Prime Minister of Hungary, he'd called. The Canadian Prime Minister were there. The leader of, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, were there. So many were there. And so many, of course, were not there. He didn't call them. He didn't call the French president. He didn't call so many persons. And Putin didn't attend. I don't think he was called either. And the only person he was really scared of, I think, is China. And his think tank must have told him, look, sir, you better be careful with China. And let's see how we can accommodate China. So that's the reason he's turned turtle. Now also look at the way he was talking. 4 years back he was talking that TikTok is to be banned, should be banned. And now when the American Supreme Court has also upheld the fact that TikTok be banned, he hasn't done it. After taking over, he's giving a new lease of life because he's thinking, I might as well get what I can from China. That is the reason he isn't towing the Indian line of Bangladesh and Pakistan also. Of course, Pakistan's got no standing, and the Pakis must think about it, that their foreign minister Bilawal Bhutto and others were there in Washington waiting for an invitation to attend, but they were only waiting, they weren't called. So what the hell was Bilawal Bhutto doing there wasting his time? Just shows the standing of Pakistan in the standing of the thinking of Donald Trump. And about Bangladesh also, I think Donald Trump is very low key. There's some news that one of the daughters of Mr. Yunus has been facing some charges, but that's about all. Bangladesh is on low priority, and the Indians were thinking that Bangladesh will be sorted out once Donald Trump becomes president. यानी उसकी बत्ती बंद हो जाएगी उसकी और पाकिस्तान की. It's not happened. It's not happened that way. And the Indians gave a dramatic mistake, a big mistake. And I think the man who should answer for it is our security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval. What the hell was he doing? He didn't know a damn thing of what had been going on in Bangladesh. There was a massive agitation on which erupted and Sheikh Hasina had to flee. So instead of waiting as the Indians are doing, Donald Trump aayega and things will be sorted out, it doesn't happen. Nobody pulls your chestnuts out of the fire. And this is a fact. And they were thinking the Americans are going to be on their side and they'll pull the chestnut out of the fire from them. It doesn't happen. The time was, if Modi had strategic sense, first of all, to have that strategic sense, he must have realized that the budget of $75 billion for the Indian armed forces is very less. India needs a budget of at least $200 billion so that they can have their R&D, their own aircraft manufacturing, everything on their own, and then become a world power. And in this particular case in Bangladesh, India had all the aces at that time. Country was in turmoil. And if you remember, in 1971, under General Jagjit Singh Arora, the Indian Army took over the whole Bangladesh in 13 days. And this time, it would have been in 2 days. That is also a fact. I have done the Staff College. I'm a graduate of the Defence Services Staff College. I hold a postgraduate degree in military science from Madras University. And I have written a lot of articles and studies on and given lectures on military history and warfare and the art of war. And that is something which is very important. And in my analysis, the whole country at that time could have been taken over in 2 days. All the Indians had to do was to capture the top leadership of the Bangladesh army, as well as the president, which could have been done in 2 days by having a parallel assault, like the Hitler had on Crete, on Dhaka, and it would have been all over by the shouting. But Modi didn't have the guts, he didn't do it. That's the factual fact. This is not something new because it's something which is rooted in history. Because the Indians, if you read the history of warfare by Field Marshal Montgomery, he clearly states that the Indians were dominated by what is called the Durg mentality. What is the Durg mentality? The Durg mentality is you keep sitting in your fortress, waiting for the enemy to come, without venturing out and attacking the enemy when he's marching. Look at Tipu Sultan, supposed to be the tiger or what not what people call him. But what the hell did he do? I mean, he was sitting in his fortress in Seringapatam waiting for the Duke of Wellesley, who was marching 200 kilometers away and coming, and he was just sitting there, and ultimately he was shot and killed, and that was the end of Tipu Sultan. He just was an example. Every day it was the same thing. Muhammad Ghazni came 17 times to India, and it surprises me. He all the time came from the Khyber Pass. And 17 times, I mean, no, he didn't strike any Indian king to put any soldiers on guard at the Khyber Pass to stop Ghazni from coming there itself. So that's what I'm coming to. It's in the Indian ethos, and that's why we didn't intervene in Bangladesh, thinking things will take on their own course, like water finds its own level. America aega, and that Donald Trump will come and he is going to sort out Bangladesh and all that, He hasn't sorted out anybody so far. And he's also going very slow on the Panama Canal. Now, he's been talking a lot. But now I'm asking a question. Do you think he's going to have a military intervention in Panama? I don't think so. Probably he will negotiate with the Chinese who leave and go away. And he'll have some of his saying, look, I'll throw the Chinese out from Panama. And he wants Greenland. It's not so easy. And look at the way of Canada. He wanted it the 51st province of America. I don't know how he got this harebrained scheme. Though I will say, most Canadians would be very, very happy if they become member of the United States, part of America. But such a big nation to take over is not going to be easy either. And now, he's also got a ceasefire done up in Gaza. I'll talk about that later. But the moment I can tell you that Mr. Modi should beware. The Ides of March, that famous time when Julius Caesar was murdered. It was during the Ides of March, and the Ides of March is just approaching. And Donald Trump could turn turtle and decide that the time has come to have a Christian state in the northeast of India. The Khalistan movement is getting fresh life. I have a question now of Mr. Trump. Many Americans whom I discussed told me, well, this man, Panu, could have bought some tickets which are available in the market and gone and attended the inauguration. Fair enough. But then, he's a designated terrorist. India has declared him as a terrorist. How did he enter inside when the Indian foreign minister was also attending the same function? Would the Americans allow representatives from Hamas and Hezbollah to go and attend, or maybe Iran, to go and start attending after paying money? This is a question which no American would like to answer, but I'll give the answer, and that is no. So this was part of the American scheme. Maybe they're thinking they could needle India and have a small 6 state or something there in the north of India. And then also, Indians must beware on a north-south divide. There's nothing like that at the moment, but it could happen because it could be exploited by the Americans. And so it is incumbent on the Indian leadership of Modi and Shah to ensure that language is dealt with in a different way. If people keep talking कि Hindi is the only language in India, I think they're in for a big shock. And they're sowing the seeds of the division of the country. I won't say anything more on this. There's a report by the Chinese Institute of Strategic Studies, which was given a few years back, where they have said that India could break up into any number of countries, and it could be because of the Hindu religion. And I'm very clear in my mind that the first thing if India wants to survive is to do away with the caste reservation. Who's got the guts? Has Modi got the guts? The RSS was formed in 1925, and one of its cardinal principles was to do away with the caste system. What happened to that? RSS also turned turtle, or like a dog, puts his tail behind his legs and runs away. Now they are saying reservations are essential. Why should they be essential? Why not meritocracy? If you want to bring up people who have been subjugated, who have been slaves or something, whatever you call them, you give them separate education. Bring them up to the level where they can be selected on merit. So, that's for the people to think of it. I'm a very small man, but I can make my comment. And I hope Modi realizes it also. And Modi also realizes that there's nothing like Atam Nirbhar and all that. And also there's nothing like strategic independence which Jaishankar was talking of. What is strategic independence? There's nothing there. It's got no meaning. Strategic independence, those countries who make their own weaponry, who make their own forces, who have their own army. As already pointed out to you, the Indian budget of $75 billion, very less. We need at least $200 billion because we also have to do a lot of R&D, make our own planes. But the sad part is India is not even making a car. I was in Dubai, just about a month back, and there was a wonderful program launched by the Chinese showcasing their latest cars. And one of them, was that one which copied the Rolls Royce. China is moving paces. And here, India, we only made one car, I think, which was Badal or something, which was a three-wheeler. And that car, when you sat in it and drove around and too fast, it would turn turtle. It would fall upside down. So it's not a great credit. What I'm saying is that India must not wear the tiger's clothing or the tiger's skin if you're a sheep. So one should be careful. India militarily is not a match to China or America because we are way behind, at least half a century behind both these countries. And the question which many have asked me is, Captain, what the hell are you talking? Who's to blame for this? So I've got a one-line answer. There's only one man, and that is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and second is the Congress Party, which ruled India. This was one party which I think never comes back to power in India again. They were the ones who brought in the caste system, caste reservations. They are the ones who downgraded the Indian military. They are the ones who didn't settle the border dispute with China. With the result, it's a festering problem now. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, he's fighting for America. We really can't say that Donald Trump is going to come and pull your chestnuts out of the fire. Why should he do it? Why should he do it? India has to be on its own. But it cannot be on its own if they're going to behave like the Tejas fighter, which is, spending millions of dollars on the plane and only getting the airframe ready. And when you want the engine, you find you don't have the engine and you import it from America. And the Americans want $500 million more to give you the technical know-how of the engine. And the plane not flying. Therefore, supposed to have 47 or 49 squadrons, you got 27 or 29 services operational. That's not a credit. The air chief has sounded the alarm, and we have nothing in the pipeline that we're going to get something. India has been offered, I know, the F-35, but then Americans don't give anything without strings. Why is the guarantee that tomorrow the Americans won't jack up the price of the F-35? And if today is 2 billion, this is 5 billion. Because you have no technology at all. Zero. Even the French have not given you the technology of the Rafale, the plane which India has purchased from France. So, gentlemen, it's a catch-22 situation. How does India get out of it? You can't talk, as I told you, of strategic independence. Strategic independence for those countries who are military strongs and self-reliant, like China or Russia. India is nowhere in that category. And we are always playing second fiddle and following the Durg mentality. You know what's the Durg mentality? You have to read Field Marshal Montgomery's History of Warfare to realize what is the Durg mentality. Durg mentality is the mentality wherein you just want to be in a Durg and face the enemy. Durg means fortress. Without venturing out to meet the enemy and capture him at the source. That is why Tipu Sultan, the so-called tiger, was sitting in his fortress in Seringapatam and waiting for the Duke of Wellesley to come all the way from Madras, 200 miles away. And the Duke took about a month to come, and he was sitting and whining and dining away, waiting for the Duke to come. What the hell? You call him a great general or something like that? And the inevitable happened. He was defeated, captured, shot dead. So, gentlemen, this is a point which to be made. And another point I have to make, the British came all the way from England, which is a very cold country, and to a place where the temperatures in summer goes to 46 to 50 degrees centigrade, and they beat the hell out of the Indians. The Duke of Wellesley beats not only Tipu Sultan, but he also beat the Marathas in one battle after another. He went back to England and later on became the Duke of Wellington. And he was the man who defeated Napoleon. So you can just imagine how things are. So India cannot expect America to support India on Bangladesh by the Indian perception. The Americans will have their own perceptions. And Pakistan is another country which India should be beware of. Because the Americans have a love-hate relationship with Pakistan. And I understand now that some signals have been given that the World Bank is going to give $20 billion to Pakistan. What the hell is going on? Pakistan keeps on taking billions of dollars, doesn't return any money, and yet the Americans are going to subsidize. One reason for this is the rise of the Taliban in Afghanistan. The Americans are dead scared of the Taliban. And they think that Pakistan is the only country that can fight for them. But if Donald Trump is wise, which, as I'm told you, he is not all that wise, he would have realized that Americans lost the war in in Afghanistan because of Pakistan. There was one faction of the Pakistan army which was fighting along with the Taliban and another faction fighting with the Americans. And so many American soldiers were killed. I think about 4,000 killed. And that's blood spent for no rhyme or reason. And if Donald Trump is wise, he will take action against Pakistan and see to it that nuclear installations are destroyed. I don't think he's going to do it at the moment. Israelis may do it. Now coming down to his take on the ceasefire on Gaza, I think he shoved the ceasefire down the throat of the Israelis because the Israelis have still not sanitized the entire area. If the entire Gaza was under their control, they would have easily rescued the hostages, which they have not been able to do despite all these months of period of fighting. So the question is, what next? He's brought about the ceasefire, but is he going to bring about the peace? And the peace can come only through Saudi Arabia. I think that way I will give credit to Donald Trump. He knows what to do. And if he can placate Saudi Arabia and make it to sign the Abraham Accord, peace will be there. But it's not going to be easy. Saudi Arabia already got in the good books of Donald Trump. They said they're going to invest $600 billion in America. India doesn't have that sort of money to invest in America. India's living in a different world, And tomorrow, I think Donald Trump may put tariffs on India. He'll balk on China, he won't put 100% on China, but definitely India is something which he can do. And again, the blame is with Mr. Modi. This can't blame the Congress or party for it. The Harley Davidson motorcycle, the case. It was being imported into India and the duty was 100%. Have a joke or what? It's a new technology coming in, and the Indians should have, what they should have done was, brought the motorbike into India, done reverse engineering and produced their own model. They didn't do that. They put 100% duty, with the result, despite tweaking of the tail by Donald Trump, they reduced to 50%. But the net result is if you want to buy the bike in India, you pay 30 lakhs and it has to come all the way from Singapore. Who's responsible for all this thing? You see, technology comes into the country and it is for you to use it. You got so many planes which came to India and they're very proud of you saying we're making it. I remember when I was doing the staff college course, one of the chief technical officers there, very proudly said, sir, this is the Jaguar, it's made in India. I said, wonderful. And he said, 92% of the parts are made in India. So I asked this man a question. He said, what about the 8%? What happens if the 8% don't come? He said, the plane doesn't fly. So this Atmanirbhar again is a very, very dubious thing. But I think the Russians in all their dealings with India have been more honest. But at the same time, India puts its eggs in the Russian basket with a damn blunder, big blunder in 1954 itself. He committed a blunder, Pandit Nehru. And look at the way they couldn't stand by their allies. Now look at President Assad. What happened to the poor man? He had put all his eggs in the basket of the Russians. Russia struck down in the Ukraine war, and the next result, they couldn't do a thing for Assad, who had to run away, and now I think he's in hiding in Moscow. There was even an attempt on his life. I don't know. But it's all very sad. And I don't know Hamas is going to bring about peace, because Hamas is going to come back and regroup and attack again, and Trump is going to be there for only 4 years. Now let's look at the Ukraine war. He said he'd stop it in the first day. That's not done. He won't be able to stop it unless the Russian demands are conceded. Now, has he the guts to go against the American allies in Western Europe and try and get a separate peace with Russia? I don't think he's going to do that. He's thinking the Russians make concessions and whatever he says is going to be accepted. It doesn't happen. So I can tell you, America is going to be in serious problems now, even economic, because China has got the nerve, the Americans, they've got the nerve. And they know that if they put tariffs on China, Trump does it, that's the end of America. But America or China also, gentlemen, I tell you, is in great problem. The Everglades housing has collapsed. Many of their workers are been laid off. They can't protest. There are no agitations. If you do it, you just get shot or you put into jail or something. Or maybe you do hard labor, lift big boulders and every day from morning to evening. And India, of course, as I've already told you, has got a lot of problems also. But internally, America is a little better, because Donald Trump is ambitious and he does have a wide horizon. I don't think it's going to be easy for him to, occupy the entire world and take America forward, because as I mentioned, he's got only 4 years. But there is a chance that he could persuade Congress to pass legislation to increase it to by 1 or 2 tenures. In that case, he would get another 4 or 8 years. If that happens, well, he would leave a lasting legacy. But I'm afraid if he goes after 4 years, his legacy would be finished just after he goes away. Already the British are very unhappy with this man, so are the French, and people do not know what the hell is going on. Donald Trump, of course, is apathic to war. I agree. He wants peace because he's a businessman. But then everything is not something you can put on the table and you can eat it. So Donald Trump must know how to eat and how to chew. As far as Western Europe is concerned, I think Americans, Achilles' heel is there. Great Britain is going ahead with trade with China, and Americans are really getting worked up. Gentlemen, I'm now coming almost to the fag end of my video. It's a rambling talk. I think one thing I should summarize and say that Mr. Modi miscalculated badly in dealing with Trump. Trump is an unpredictable man, number 2. Number 3, Russia, I think, is his failure. China also is his failure. He'll have to do better than what he's been doing. And let's see what happens. He's a very dynamic person, of course. And in the meanwhile, if you like my video, I'd like you to share it with your friends. Please subscribe and give your comment. And again, I will say that things would have been much better for India if Modi had played his cards better. Unfortunately, Modi didn't play his cards the way it should have been played. Who's to be blamed, whether it's Modi or Jaishankar or somebody like that? And the second big mistake which Modi committed was in Bangladesh. You know what happened there.